Hi guys, and thanks again for listening to another episode of Everything Local. Today I'm joined by Jazz from Active Opportunities. Jazz, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. We've known each other for a while. I had the opportunity to sell your place and then help you buy in Westleigh.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
How's all that going?
Yes, very well, and loving the neighbourhood and loving the place, so thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. That's all right. I think we're talking about some plans for the future for that as well, so that's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. So tell us, Active Opportunities, what's it about? What do you guys do? And give us a bit of background where it started and a bit of an overview on it.
Yeah, so we've been going for the last 7 years. We're a not-for-profit charity organisation, so 100% volunteer-based, and we basically come about really with a segment in the market where we're trying to service children with disabilities with accessible sports programs.
Yep.
So a friend of mine, Mark Davies, and I used to work for the Australian Sports Commission, and we basically found that there weren't enough sports programs for children with disabilities. So we sort of broke away from the Sports Commission, came out and created a not-for-profit organisation, which obviously takes a lot of time and patience and a lot of goodwill from volunteers and some fundraising. But basically, we started over at the Northern Beaches. We teamed up with a special needs schools there called Fisher Road School.
Okay.
And so they were very, very nice to us in terms of lending their space and their time in terms of their volunteers. So we created this program, which was basically one-on-one every Saturday morning. And what we found was the need far outweighed what we could, help with in terms of that demand. So we started searching for collaboration across, the community itself, but also across the state. So quite luckily, we teamed up with Football New South Wales, who have a Football for All program, which is basically soccer programs for clubs that want to take on children with disabilities and offer those services. And then we were also very lucky. We teamed up with a local football association in the Northern Beaches called Manly Warringah Football Association.
Okay.
So they at the time were looking to run a Football for All program. And from there, we started a program on a Saturday morning. They helped us out with free football kits that they donated towards us. They gave us free space in terms of some of the fields that they have access to at Cromer Park. And we kicked it off 7 years ago. Just a few volunteers, spread the word across the Northern Beaches. Yeah. Before we knew it, we had 40 kids come down, and we thought we were in a bit of trouble in terms of what we needed to do. So, I mean, today, as we've kind of grown over the years, we've got two groups now set over there. We've got an older age group, which is a cohort from 7 years ago as they started. So we start at the age of 5 and we sort of go up to the age of 16. Yeah, wow. So we've got an older cohort of between the 12 and 16-year-olds. Yeah. And then a younger cohort group, which are relatively new, last year or two, between 5 and 12 years of age. And then we found from that particular program, because it was so successful, that parents were travelling from across the North Shore, all the way from Hornsby, Linfield, North Sydney, etc., and they were coming over to the program. So the need really was for our families over across to the North Shore, and we were quite lucky then to team up with one of the biggest clubs across the North Shore, a Linfield Football Club. Yep. And again, they helped provide a space for us, provided free kits. They've also helped fundraise for us, and that particular program has been running for the past 3 years. Yep. And we're slowly trying to grow that to try to keep it sustainable. So the club have helped where they can, but really for us, it's a matter of getting new members coming in, but also trying to sustain the current members that we currently got.
Yeah, of course. An amazing journey, right? So 7 years. When you jumped into, I guess, starting it off, did you know what to do, like opening up a charity and what entails in going into that? Like, obviously you would have learnt a lot during that process.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So we had no idea from the offset. It was just a matter of both of us, both probably young at the time, a bit naive, and just saying, look, let's just get it done. It should be an easy process. Little did we know that the government were changing rules around charities and what they can and can't do. And one of the biggest things that we have is the tax deductible gift recipients. So it took us almost 2 years within that process to really sustain ourselves as a governance and a board to ensure that we had that status and be able to offer our services. So we were quite lucky. So one of our board members, Deepak David, currently at the moment is an accountant, and
Okay, that would have helped.
That certainly helped at the time. So he worked for a company over in Chatswood, and they helped set it all up for us. And it's important for us now. He's been there from the beginning. He's now come onto the board and can help advise us going forward. But we basically took the model from being over from the UK, and we basically took the model over from there, and just thought, well, parents really on a Monday morning would love to say, to their colleagues at work, I took my child to sport on a Saturday morning, just like every other parent would want to do. And so we ensured that we've got to make the program on the weekend. We want it to be as normal as possible. Every child is the same regardless of their age and ability. And I think across the line in terms of volunteers that we had, I'm very lucky with the time that they've donated towards us and spent. So we were able to get the organisation off the ground, and we're trying to build it up as much as we possibly can. Yeah,
of course. We'll talk about how I guess people can help building it in just a second, but talk me through the process, right? So I'm a parent, I have a child that has a disability. What do I need to do? How's the sign-up process, and what's actually involved in the activities that you do, right? So what we know is just sport. I know you're a big football fan and all that sort of stuff. So what's actually involved in it?
Yeah, so it's actually evolved. The program initially started off being a multi-sport type program. So the reason why we've gone into the soccer is that's a collaboration that we got at the time. So we got the support from the state governing body and also the local associations and also the local clubs. So we put the banner as soccer, but it's not actually soccer as such. So we work on anything from hand-eye coordination, throwing, skipping, hopping, catching. We run a various degree of different activities. So we usually have substations. So we may have one where the participants are kicking a ball, and they're trying to just strike the ball and knock over a bunch of other balls, which we call football bowling.
Nice.
Then we have other games such as dodging, so ball rush, with some frisbees, or avoiding getting hit by a ball, all the way through to a small-sided game where some of our participants can play. So we have some very low support needs children who are able to play those games, but then on the other side we have some very high support need children who are very much one-on-one, who a big win for them is actually getting out the car and coming to the program and not
just being involved, right? Not even actually might not be able to participate too much in some of the activities.
Correct.
Just actually being out in front of people would be very stimulating for them. Would that be the right way to put it?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's a big plus for the families. So you can imagine the burden on families in terms of a child may have not had a good week, they may have not been well, they may have not slept, there might be behavioural issues, they may not like sport, they don't want to go outdoors, so they have all these issues, and there may be other siblings as well along the way as well. So trying to juggle that all and having the opportunity for them to come to a program, I think is certainly a big plus from the families and the feedback that we've been provided. And I know Victor mentioned, who's the manager here at the Western Linfield Sport and Rec Centre. He mentioned just coming down, looking at their faces, the sheer excitement of the kids knowing that they're going to go to a program, they're going to participate, they're going to play, and parents see that and they see the benefits not only for a bit of respite relief for them, but also their child's progression. Their child does get better at running, hopping, skipping, jumping, communicating, all those things, along with health and well-being as well. That's
right, we know the importance of health in general, right? And I think, obviously it's great for the kids, but also for the parents as well, right? So it's, a great relief for them to, be able to put their kids into an environment where there's people like yourself that know what you're doing in that environment and how to control, different behavioural issues and all the stuff that comes with it. But then the sense of relief that they get when they the parents put them back in the car and say, hey, we've got them out of the house. We've got them interacting with other people like with similar conditions to what they've got as well, so they can relate maybe a little bit. Because I'd imagine that, if you're a kid with a disability, you can feel a little bit left out. Does that make sense? Because you maybe not,
absolutely,
may not have what you've got.
I think the program also offers a bit of added bonus. There's lots of families that have gone to sports programs, and not to say that they've done anything wrong, but unfortunately for them, they're not able to help assist those children just with the sheer maybe volume of registrations they have, or they just don't have the capacity to be able to do that. I guess our program within itself is very specific. It's disability specific. So if somebody is, or a child has a disability or living with a disability, can come to this program only. And not only that, we have volunteers who have potentially a background who have worked within or currently working within that industry, and being able to evaluate and provide the assistance and support to those children, I think it's definitely beneficial in terms of what we do. It's also on a weekly basis, so we run the program during each school term. It's run throughout the whole year, 8-week program. Every Saturday morning, so families, and there's a regular routine, so there's no off season for us. It's more of a, we're here, we're open every Saturday. In terms of how we do it, we try to collaborate with a lot of organisations as much as possible. So registrations are through Play Football, which is the national database for registration for soccer itself.
Which is a website, like
Play Football, and then we basically work with the club to try to get the word out and spread through their database and their members. We work with the local associations as well, who also spread the word to all of their clubs within the region. We're quite lucky in terms that we've had some small grants from the local councils, so Northern Beaches Council and Ku-ring-gai Council, and their community teams are also very helpful in terms of spreading the word out into the community. And also there's various schools within the area, so St. Lucy's, based in Wahroonga, are very good with us as well. We've had a relationship with them in terms of running programs at the school, but also in turn they also try to spread the word to the families to let them know about
that you're there, basically, and you're there to help. Okay. Is there restrictions around the sort of, I guess, disabilities that you take on? Does that make sense? Like, do you not take on certain disabilities because, you're not, I guess, whether it be qualified or haven't worked with them before, or how does all that work?
We've basically never said no to anyone. So disabilities do vary from very low support needs to high support needs. And majority of our participants have an intellectual disability, but that's not to say, 10 to 20% have a physical disability. So, the picture behind us shows, we've had, children in walking frame with supports, and some have cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. So, for us, it's just a matter of providing that service and opportunity for them to participate. And we almost, maybe for our hard work, is to try to find a way to help support them. So, even if we can't, I think families are very good in terms of the support that they give us and the advice and information that they can pass on to help communicate or work with their children. And then we also have relations with Special Olympics and, as I mentioned, local schools as well. And some of our volunteers do work for some of the other disability organisations. So we try to tap into those skill sets and try to better ourselves to try to help those children.
I think that's interesting. And it's very good as well that the parents come and say, there's my kid and this is what the challenges are and this is what we do. That makes it a little bit easier. So pass that information on to you, which is obviously very helpful, right? Because every child, regardless of the disability, is going to have their own way of learning things and their own way of doing things. It's good that you've got that direction, right? Yeah,
absolutely. We try to do our basics in terms of visual cues and trying to do examples of each practice but like you mentioned, every child is different, and not only that, their week has been different, and the night. So the more information we can get from parents in terms of how we can help their child, it only benefits us in terms of our planning and what we can try to do going forward.
Love that. So how do people help? And do you need to have a child that has a disability, or can you just help in general? Like, what's the story around that?
I guess there's probably three faults. The first one is we'd love more participants to come to the program, especially at Linfield, where we're certainly geared up with the support of utilising the courts that we have outside, and would love to expand to how we are at Cromer Park and have the two various different groups, which we were at one point, but we'd love to have that throughout the whole year. We understand, because we're a year-round program, kids have to try other sports and other programs and other networks and have other responsibilities too, and it's hard for families. But ideally what we'd like to do is grow with our participants and help support the need within the area. So that's one. I guess the second one also would be volunteering. So again, we've run throughout the year. Some volunteers can do some terms and not other terms. Ideally for us, we'd love to expand on our volunteer base and have more hands on deck. And that could be something simple as just helping assist, coming down on a day, helping with the groups. And some of our volunteers don't have any experience. They're just simply parents that just want to come and help and help assist. So there isn't a skill set as such, and what we try to do is help provide some guidance and education to help upskill them, to make them feel confident enough that they are making that difference. And I guess thirdly will be sustainability for us. So because we're 100% volunteer based, there's only so much goodwill we can provide in terms of our time. So and that's not to say we've got to pay bills, we've got to pay insurances and all the other things that come with the overheads of running an organisation. So quite luckily we've been we tried to run 2 fundraisers a year, but like last year COVID hit us, so we couldn't run any fundraisers. That provides some lifeline in terms of supplementing the programs. So we try to reduce the fees for the participants as much as we can. But the local councils have provided us with some small grant funding, to help us purchase equipment. So I guess in terms of sustainability, it's really providing some funds to help us to go and continue this program, but also to build upon it, because the last thing we want to do is just keep doing the same thing over and over and just go around in circles. We want to grow it and want to provide a valuable opportunity for children to learn. Yeah,
and keep improving it, right? And I think you're in the charity that you do, you come across so many different type of people and kids and different responsibilities and different needs, right? So that forces you to continue to grow. What's next for the charity? Like where are you taking it next, and what's like the goal for the next few years? Yeah,
for us really is to build upon a lot of cohort of our parents are coming from Hornsby, and the data shows that there is a large volume of children with disabilities in Hornsby. It also makes sense for us to help support in Hornsby. There is a special needs school there also, and St Lucy's sits on the borderline as well. But really for us is to support the children coming from Hornsby. Ideally, we don't want parents travelling 30 minutes down the road just to get to programs. So that'll be our next step in terms of building this particular program. What we did do back in the day when we first set up the organisation is actually run sports programs for children from disadvantaged backgrounds. So it's something that we would like to continue to do down the track, is provide sports programs for disadvantaged children, but also youth as well. So disadvantaged youth. So we've done programs for youth justice and people who may be homeless, or youth refuge programs as well. So we've done sort of kickboxing and exercise programs for girls only. So really down the track we want to try to build that portfolio up again, and that would be something long term. But really trying to sustain our current programs, the 2 that we currently got, is a short-term goal, and slowly expanding our reach in our programs. Yeah, love it, man. Look, we initially spoke on the phone about doing this sort of thing, and at that point I was like intrigued by it all, because it's not something that if you don't have a kid that has a disability, like you wouldn't be, you wouldn't need to come down to this sort of thing. But hearing about it and understanding the process, like all credit to you. It's a massive responsibility that you're taking on with yourself and your other partners that are actually in it. So thank you for sharing the story with us. When those fundraisers come up, reach out to us, and if there's anyone else that's listening that wants to get involved in something like this, I'll make sure I pass them over to you. And thank you for everything you're doing, because there needs to be more of this sort of stuff set up, and probably more awareness around it, because I wasn't actually aware of it. So appreciate you sharing the story, being on the podcast, and if there's anything else we can do, just let us know. No, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time and allowing us being on the podcast. It's all good, man. No worries at all. Take care. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to the Everything Local podcast with Josh Saliba. We really want to push the community and showcase the local businesses by providing them a platform to tell their story. Support these businesses by following the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you are a business or know of a business in the local area and would like to feature them on an episode, please contact Josh Saliba with the contacts provided in the show notes.
Tune in next week for another episode of the Everything Local podcast.